Now, also tonight, members of the fake news media, they have lost their minds yet again over all things Donald Trump. And in this case, for Donald Trump daring to call out the extreme and abusive bias, the massive conflicts of interest that surround Robert Mueller's special counsel. We've been telling you this for a long time. The media just can't stand the fact that the president is defending himself and telling the truth, no collusion, and exposing their agenda and their lies. So the president over the weekend, he tweeted out this: as the House Intelligence Committee has concluded, no collusion between Russia and the Trump campaign, as many are now finding out. However, there was tremendous leaking, lying, corruption at the highest levels of the FBI, the Justice Department, and the State Department. Hashtag drain the swamp. Now, Mueller has been at this for almost 10 months. Congress for over 14 months. And so far, nothing, no evidence of Trump-Russia collusion. Mueller, if you got it, come on the show and tell America. And by the way, if the media, if you have more proof that this is not a witch hunt, okay, I don't believe you. Axios is reporting tonight that Robert Mueller is more interested in what happened after the election than before the election. The collusion supposedly was the whole reason for the entire investigation. And by the way, how can Rod Rosenstein, this guy is so conflicted, he should have recused himself, because on the one hand, he signs off on one of the 4 FISA warrants using Clinton's bought and paid for Russian dossier, and then he also appoints Mueller. I say conflict of interest. Now, it's why the president tweeted, quote, the Mueller probe should never have been started, in that there was no collusion and no crime. It was based on fraudulent activities and a fake phony dossier paid for by Crooked Hillary and the DNC and improperly used in a FISA court for surveillance of my campaign. Witch hunt. And by the way, people are saying this weekend, well, act like you're not guilty. Okay, saying I didn't do it means you're acting like you're not guilty. And then the president added, why does the Mueller team have 13 hardened Democrats, some big crooked Hillary supporters, 0 Republicans? Another Democrat recently added, does anyone think this is fair? And yet there is no collusion. The president is right to be fed up with all of this. Look at what it has done to this country in the last year. Look at the side of your screen. Mueller's merry band of Democratic donors giving over 50 grand to Democrats, including Obama, Clinton, and the DNC. None of those people donated to the Trump campaign. So if the president's innocent, I say he has every right to be upset, every right to speak out. Mueller's swamp and his deep state, they are abusively biased. They've been shown to be corrupt, shown to have an agenda. And according to a report, Andrew Weissman, by the way, described by the New York Times as Mueller's pit bull, attended Hillary Clinton's election night party. And Jeanine Ray did legal work for the Clinton Foundation. That's who's on Mueller's team. And as for the media, they went absolutely nuts speculating that Trump was going to fire Mueller. No, that's not what the president said. He said it never should have started. He never insinuated in any way he was going to fire Mueller. But that's not what your lying news media reported this weekend.
President Trump sharpening his attacks, really taking aim directly for the first time at special counsel Robert Mueller, calling him out by name. Of course, all of that raised a lot of questions about whether the president was trying to undermine his credibility, move to have him fired.
Big players in this investigation covering this feel like attacking this personally, the way the president has acted over the weekend, is a step toward firing Mueller.
Do you think that the president is laying the groundwork to fire Mueller?
We've seen this series of tweets right now, the statement from the Trump lawyer suggesting the entire investigation should be shut down. What would happen if the president made that move?
All right, joining us now, Fox News contributor Sarah Carter, also an investigative reporter, Fox News legal analyst Greg Jarrett, Judicial Watch President Tom Fitton. All right, so here we have McCabe fired for lying under oath repeatedly. Isn't that what General Flynn just got charged with?
Multiple times under oath, according to the Attorney General. And so that means 3 different crimes with which he should be indicted and prosecuted. One is false statements, the other is perjury, and finally obstruction of justice. If Flynn gets charged with making a false statement, by that reasoning, shouldn't McCabe?
Makes sense, right?
Yeah. Now, McCabe is obviously lawyered up at this point, and he's going to need a good defense lawyer because it's not just those 3 crimes, but he also signed off on the dossier in violation of the law because the dossier wasn't verified by the FBI. McCabe and Comey both knew it.
Look at these new text messages between Sarah Strzok and Page, the FBI lovebirds. What's fascinating about this, you got Strzok and Page. Strzok was also working on the exoneration with Comey before the investigation. But also, this is really scary, this exchange that we talked about on Friday night, as they talk about Rudolph Contreras. He's a FISA court judge.
He's a FISA court judge, and he's friends, from looking at these text messages, he's actually good friends with Peter Strzok. And Peter Strzok and Lisa Page are discussing in these text messages how best to talk with him, how best to meet up with him, so it doesn't raise any red flags, so that he doesn't have to recuse himself. Remember, Peter Strzok was the head of the counterintelligence. He investigated into Russia and many other matters. So a lot of his warrants to the FISA court would go directly to them, possibly even to Judge Contreras. So I think what's even more telling is that the DOJ withheld this from Congress, withheld this from the American people. Remember, it was redacted. It wasn't until the House Oversight Committee, till congressional members sent over their investigators that had to keep going back and forth, that were able to dig this up. They were able to make those connections and then ask for that to be redacted or semi-redacted. And then that's when the evidence came forward. This is something that really needs to be investigated. You cannot have a FISC court judge friends with somebody in the FBI, somebody who was involved in Flynn's case. December 1st, 2017 is when Flynn went before Judge Contreras and pled guilty. And then 7 days later, he's recused and there's no explanation.
All right, let me bring in Tom Fitton here. Tom, as you look at all of this here and you look at the media's reaction and how they can spin the president, who has every right now. We now know Comey's in trouble, Strzok is in trouble, Page is in trouble, McCabe is in obvious trouble. I would bet Loretta Lynch is in trouble. Bring Brennan and others in here as well. And we have deep state actors that clearly did not want Donald Trump to A, get elected, and B, to succeed. And they have been undermining him in ways that I don't think any American could ever have imagined.
Well, you know, the anti-Trump media and their allies in Congress are trying to prop up a Mueller operation that's collapsing. You have McCabe and Comey, and you can't say one without the other because they were working closely together. McCabe was Comey's protege. Comey, according to the documents we uncovered, blessed McCabe's involvement in the Clinton email investigation despite his conflicts of interest. He only recused himself after it was publicly reported he had a conflict, and they were pretending he didn't have one, but then they secretly recused him. He secretly recused himself. And on top of that, now we have McCabe being accused of lying. The number 2 official at the FBI is a certified liar by the FBI and the Department of Justice and the Attorney General. Any investigations he's been involved in, we know about the Clinton and the Russia one. Who knows how many other investigations are tainted as a result of these lies?
Look at Comey and Brennan and how arrogant these people are.
You know, Comey is one of the most self-righteous, insufferably arrogant people I think I've ever seen in such a high position.
What about Brennan? What about Clapper?
Well, Brennan was the instigator. He was running all over Washington, D.C. and Capitol Hill, pushing the dossier together with his partner, James Clapper, and that will come out.
All right. Thank you all for being with us. So much more to get to. Sarah, thank you. Tom, Greg, thank you all for joining us tonight.